Okay, so let's get this straight. If God said, ask and you shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the doors shall be open for you, then why does it seem like He's not answering any of our prayers? There's got to be an answer for that. Let's find out. Hi guys, so welcome to my channel. My name is Ishi if you're new, and if you're returning then it's wonderful to have you back. So today we're going to be discussing why we think God may not be answering our prayers. So there may be a moment in your life where you've been praying for that certain thing, and God has been answering all the other things around or doing all the other things, but you've got that one thing that you want God answering and it seems like He's just silent or He's doing nothing about it. So today I've just put down 3 reasons why that may be the case, and I'm going to share with you guys. But before I get there, I just want to start by apologizing because my voice is a little bit cracky today. I had lost it for just a couple of days. That's why my video is late as well. But hopefully that doesn't affect you and we can just get the message behind. So let's get started. For all of the 3 reasons that we're going to discuss today, I've tried to link them into our everyday and ordinary lives so that it is more understandable and relatable. So for the context of today's topic, we're going to be analyzing our relationship with God compared to or as opposed to an ordinary parent and child relationship. And obviously the parent being God and us as we pray to Him being the child. So the first reason why God may seem to be silent on your prayers is probably because it is not the right timing yet. You may be asking for the right thing, but it's not the right time. So imagine yourself as a mother with a 10-year-old, and he comes to you and says, "Mommy, can I have a BMW?" So as a mother, you're not going to go out there and buy a BMW. You could have it, you have the money, but you're just not going to hand it over to him. But you may instead go and buy a toy that has a BMW on it and give it to him. And that's not to say you're not going to give him the real thing, but it is to say he is not matured yet. He doesn't have the experience yet to drive a real car or to manage a real car. And along with that as well comes with God's priority. God knows what to give you first. So we could say maybe this child is now 17 and is allowed to drive, and he comes again and says, "Mommy, can I have a car?" As a mother, you're going to look at the things that are needed and the things that are necessary for your child to drive that car. So you're going to look at whether your child has got a license, because if you give him the car before the license, what's going to come next? He's probably going to drive it without a license. He's going to get arrested. He's going to get in trouble, and that's ruined it for him. But obviously for the child that may be difficult to understand, because all he wants is a car. He knows people drive cars, but does he actually know that there are stages or there are things that that he needs to do in order to drive that car? So that's just the same for us with God. We may think, I need to get married and I need to get married soon enough, but when God is looking at me, He's thinking, you know what, your health is probably not good enough. You're gonna get married. When in marriages there's so much responsibilities, your mental health has to be really good for the children. You just have to be physically fit. So maybe he is looking at my health first and thinking, I need to heal you before I can give you this marriage. And he's looking and thinking, I need to probably help you to be more understanding, to be more accepting of the person that's going to come into your life, because he could just bring somebody to me right now and maybe I haven't learned to understand or to speak to somebody or to be able to build a relationship together. So it's a process. There may be things that we do not know, but God knows the priority. Just as much as our parents know what's best for our children, and our children may not be able to understand the reasons why they're being told that, they can't have that at the moment. But it's not to say God is not going to give it to you. It's to say He is working or letting you grow a little bit so that once you're given it, it's not a curse, it's not a burden, but it's an actual blessing. You don't want to get into a wrong marriage and it breaks, because the partners were both not ready for it. You don't want to get a car and you're in an accident because it was rushed, because when you were doing your lessons, there were things that you didn't understand and you've just got the license, you've just got the car. So it's a bit of a process, and it's probably something that we don't understand, but because our life is planned and God knows the priority, he knows the right timing, it just comes down to being patient and allowing him to take control of our lives so that he knows the order that he gives us things. Of course, it's right to pray, it's what I desire. I'm going to pray for a marriage, but it's God's right time and the right marriage, so I shouldn't really put time to say I need this now. So I think if we just understand that there is an order, there is priority, then we may feel maybe a little bit better. You pray about it and you just let God do it. So the second reason why you may think God is not answering your prayers, so that comes down to patience. I mean, let's think about it. There's so many people in this world, and that's not only to say those who believe in God, but God cares for everyone, and it's his responsibility to provide for everyone. So again, in the context of a parent-child relationship, so you as a parent may have 2 or 3 children, or even if you have 1 child, but you're going to have other responsibilities like, probably caring for extended family members or even paying bills. So us as the children, we have to understand that there are other things that God has got to do. So if I pray and I'm answered today, I can't then just jump into my next prayer and say, God, answer me on this. It takes time. Let him deal with one person, then come to you. Deal with the other person, come to you. It comes down to patience. So again, I'll come back with my example that I've used earlier on. So I could come and say to my mother, can I have a car? Then she's making her way or helping me, encouraging me to say the first step is your license. Once you've got that, then I'll give you money to buy a car. Then that's it. Once I've got that, let me enjoy the car for a little bit. Of course, I can tell her that I need something else. But once I've got that, it's time for me to appreciate and be grateful for the one thing that I've got. Well, at least I give her time to go then to my sibling and work on whatever it is that my sibling wanted. So at the end of the day, we do not know how many people are on God's waiting list. We do not know how many bills that my mom has got to pay this month. Or we do not know the situation, the emergency situation that she's had to go through. Of course, in our eyes, our moms are our heroes, or our parents are our superheroes. They have got everything in our eyes, but to them, they've got so much responsibilities. They've got other things that they've got to do that they cannot disclose to us to say, you know what, I can't give you this today because I've got to do this, I've got to do this. It's just too much for us. So again, we may think, we know God, he is all knowing, he is all powerful, which is undoubted, but maybe he's got a lot more things than to focus on my life. He's got to run heaven. He's got to, look after a whole load of other people. So I'm not his main priority, and I have to understand that. That's why in most churches where you go there, they say pray for yourself. Once you've done, pray for somebody else. So for a good person who knows God, he knows that he's not going to ask. He's going to pray, wait, ask, and pray for the others. So once I've prayed to say, God, this is what I want, let my next prayer be, God, my friend wants this, or God, look at this. That's nothing to do with me. And it shows that love, and it shows that, you're giving God enough time. You're not just bombarding him with so many things. Because as a mother, if a child comes to you and say, I need shoes, I need an Xbox, I need a car, you're just gonna be like, yo, wait. So that's kind of like what it is as well, what I believe it is with God as well. So let us give him the time to work on other people as well. That's why there are testimonies. Somebody's answered there in your church or somewhere, they can testify to show that God has done it for them. Now it's time for God to do it for you too. So it's just going to come down to patience. You've prayed your prayer. That's it. Wait for him. Don't come and put deadlines and say, God, I want this by the end of March. I want this by the end of the year. Because you don't know. Maybe somebody else has made the exact same prayer just before you, and you're right after them. So just wait and let God's time take over. So that's the second. So the third and final reason as to why we may feel like God is not answering our prayers. So that comes down to how we are communicating with God. How are we actually putting that request to God? And don't get me wrong, of course you can talk to God how you feel comfortable, but there is a way to speak to God. Do not command God, or do not tempt God, or do not challenge God, because of course we can command the spirits, we can command the bad things out of us with the power of the Holy Spirit, but when it comes to requesting to things from God, you can't find me saying, God, I need a car right now and I believe I'm going to get it tomorrow because you did it yesterday and you do it again. And if you're a true God, you're going to show me. It's like you're tempting God, because even, the devil yesterday said to Jesus, if you are the Son of Man, then, you're hungry here. Turn that stone into bread and eat. But that was not for him to show that he has the powers, but it was the devil tempting God. So we do not have the right to put a deadline on God's plans, or to tempt God, or to speak to God. You saying, if you're God, then prove it to me. That's not how it works. And again, in a context of a parent and child relationship, if your child comes to you and says, I want a PS5 right now, and I know you've got money, you bought this yesterday, you can buy it for me, I believe in you. And it's like, no, because you don't know what other things that I've got to do. So it's a way of communicating with God. So with all being said, everything that I've kind of said today comes down to God's timing, and comes down to God's plans, and comes down to God's knowledge, what he knows more about us, just as much as our parents, what they know more, and what they know that is best for us. So again, if you come to find yourself that you're in a situation where you need something and God is not doing something, maybe consider your next prayer being, God, let your will be done in my life. That then means you're not getting disappointed when you ask for something and it's not happening. It then just means you're waiting for God to take control of your life. So he's going to know that you need A first, then B comes next, then C comes next. And all you do is appreciate, and you've not put a time limit to say, I need this by this time. And the other thing that can help us to not set time limits is understand that each and everyone's life is different. For example, for women, let's not say I need to get married at the time I'm 25, because maybe that's not your route. Your life is completely different to mine. You can get married at 25. Maybe I'm going to get married at 30. Maybe somebody else is going to get married at 21. Let's not compare it all, put a time limit on things that should happen, but let's learn to understand that lives, or whatever happens in our lives, is completely different. We've got a different life plan, and all we can do is just let the Lord's will be done, because it's not in our hands. That way we avoid disappointments, and we avoid coming to say, God has answered that one and he hasn't answered me. No, it's because our lives are different. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps you to just have faith in God that he is working on your prayer. If you've prayed it already quite a few times, then wait for it, because again, as a mother, you don't want a child to keep on coming to you saying, I need a new pair of shoes, when you've said to him, okay, I'm going to get them, and he says, I need a new pair of shoes every single day to remind you that he needs a pair of shoes. That's not very polite. So if you've asked God for something, then just wait and be patient and let him bring it to you, in his own time. And then that way there is no disappointment and you can continue believing in him. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you've enjoyed. Do subscribe and comment and like and share it to anybody that may be feeling like God has just gone silent on them, and say if there's anything they can do differently to feel a little bit more comfortable and to restore their faith in God. And I'm going to upload another video on how we can be able to pray as well, so that we're not just being selfish and praying for ourselves, as I've discussed earlier, but to also pray for other people. So I'm just going to share as well how I pray and how I feel like we can also be able to pray. And also you guys can also comment and tell me how you pray, and we can help one another, because at the end of the day, we're all encouraging and motivating one another. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me again on my next video. So do have a lovely day. Until next time.